The Coke Scholars Foundation has been in existence for 30 years. It's raised over $70 million, and each year we support over 1,400 students to go to school. And as the ad said, you too are supporting, because, as it said, if you've purchased a Coca-Cola beverage in the United States in the last 20 years, you're contributing to the Coke Scholars. So on behalf of the students, I thank you. And also now, as the Dean said, I kind of have a future vested personal interest, so I'd like to all encourage you to continue enjoying our refreshing, uplifting, optimistic, positive brands. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a suggestion. I am going to talk as fast as possible and finish my Kupplerfuckel very quickly, because if I do that, I think we'll get to somebody much more interesting than me. I think we'll get more time with a real UCD and a real Irish hero, a man who has helped change the face of sport in Ireland forever. I had never heard of the word triskaidekaphobia before our own number 13 bod came on the thing, so please will you give it up for Brian O'Driscoll. Now, sitting at the table with Brian and his lovely wife, Amy, is a little bit embarrassing tonight. Like myself, Brian clearly has married up because she's absolutely charming. But I'm under strict instructions that I may not arrive home. This is from my 14-year-old son, who fancies himself as an inside centre as well. I'm under strict instructions that I may not arrive home unless I've got an autograph and a photograph with Brian. Now, geez, I'm nearly 50 and I'm kind of given up asking for autographs. So now Adrian and I are sneaking around the table trying to sneak selfies with Brian when he's not looking, so it's all a bit embarrassing. But I did go to great lengths to try and explain to my son that yes, Brian he's definitely captained Leinster, he captained Ireland, he captained the British and Irish Lions, he's probably the most capped player. He played against some superstar All Blacks like Jonah Lomu and Sean Fitzpatrick. But I went on to share with my son that really, when you think about it, rugby in the 1980s in UCD was probably a lot tougher than it was in Brian's era. We had to play against opponents. They may not be household names like Jonah Lomu and those guys, but I can tell you, togging out for the J7s, and for those who don't know who the J7s are, that's the seventh team in UCD. We had to contend against some real serious athletes. As I said, they may not be household names, but imagine, if you will, professional athletes. Like, think of darts, for example, professional darts. We had to go up against players like, do you remember Jockey on the Ocky Wilton? That guy could throw rugby passes through the eye of a needle just like darts. And when you try and take him down and he's running down the pitch with 2 pints of Guinness in one hand and lugging about 35 stones of a gut in the other, it's pretty difficult. We also had other contenders, kamikaze ski jumpers like Eddie the Eagle, who would just kind of jump into rucks and mauls. So these guys were all Olympic athletes in their own right, albeit for winning gold for the Yard of Ale. And the crowds, I mean, there was a lot of crowd pressure back then. I mean, I know the Aviva is big and it's intimidating, but I tell you, tens of thousands of people used to descend on UCD's The Bowl on Sunday mornings to watch us play. And I always thought it was because we were so skillful and we had this prowess about us. Anyway, my bubble got burst years later when I found out that most of the people turning up were just straggler students on their way home from a good night on the piss in Bang Bangs on Leeson Street. All joking aside, I remember very clearly it was August 1986 and my late mother summonsed a family meeting. The subject was expectations of a college student. Riveting stuff. But I sat there, pen in hand, pretending to take copious amounts of notes. Mum kicked off the General Assembly with about a 5-minute monologue that I'll summarise. Never miss any lectures. Get to the library between classes to catch up and write your notes up. Enroll in group study sessions. Get first-class honours, because if you get first-class honours, then you've got a great chance of getting a job with a bank, and make sure it's a bank with a good pension. Enough said on that. So I sat there pretending to be diligently writing down notes, praying that my dad, who was more of a pragmatist, would come out with a little bit of reality. Finally he did, and he said, you know what, I'm married to your mum for 35 years and I've never disagreed with her. But on this occasion, I'm going to. He said, college is indeed all about education, but he defined it as 2 sets of education. One, the academic education, and he said, but equally, and maybe more important in his mind, but equally, life education. And he went on to explain that life education is about the experiences that you have. It's about the lifelong friendships that you forge. It's about exposure to different cultures. And it's about immersing yourself in the diversity of fellow students, whether that's colour, race, gender, religion, but critically what he said, the diversity of the thought process. So he ended up saying, my advice to you is, don't screw up, pass your exams, but get up into the UCD bar very quickly, spread your wings and enjoy life education. Hashtag NUFF. Also known as Nuff Said, pen down, General Assembly over, and off to UCD I went, my poor mum clutching the rosary beads, mouth wide open. But joking aside, I share that story, A, because it's true, but 2, because I do share my dad's passion and belief in both sets of education. And I think it's increasingly important because the world is really evolving exponentially. I can't keep up from blockchains to bitcoins, hardware, cyberware, software, malware, ransomware, underwear. It's hard to keep up, but I do truly believe, having read up on this program, that the UCD offers a perfect path to stay contemporary, offering an excellent academic curriculum, world-class faculty, world-class campus, world-class facilities, but also the opportunity to feel and touch and experience a diverse culture, a different thinking style for these students from the US going over, where social relationships and fun are core to our DNA, where the social culture drives transparency, and a key word we use at Coke, which you used earlier on, Dean, and that's a resilience of character. I have not experienced another culture like Ireland where that transparency, or that social culture drives that transparency and resilience of character. And we try, at the Coca-Cola Company, we try to teach that because we believe these are critical core capabilities of the future global leaders. So this cross-pond collaboration, in my opinion, has never been more important. And the UCD family offers that perfect bridge between the USA and Ireland. So thank you for inviting me tonight, and thank you for presenting me this award. Gareth Magwith Galer.